This man built the Backstreet Boys. He built NSYNC. He gave the entire world two of the biggest bands music has ever seen. And the whole time, quietly, in the background, he was stealing $500 million from the people who trusted him the most. Every single fan cheering in that stadium had absolutely no idea where the money behind the whole spectacle was really coming from. Years later, Lou Pearlman was still sitting behind bars in a federal prison, serving out the sentence for everything he'd done. When he finally died there, someone had to pick up the phone and make the call to his family. The phone rang, and rang, and rang again. But no one on the other end ever picked up. His own family, people who shared his blood, who grew up knowing him, chose to stay completely, deliberately silent. Because this entire time, behind the glitz of platinum records, sold-out arenas, and screaming teenage fans, Lou Pearlman was quietly running one of the largest and longest-running Ponzi schemes in all of American history. Hidden in plain sight, tucked right underneath the very fame he had built with his own two hands. Lou Pearlman grew up in a modest, working-class home in Queens, New York, completely obsessed with just one thing: blimps. He'd stand out in his backyard for hours at a time, staring up at them, dreaming about anything that could fly. Decades later, that same childhood dreamer built something entirely different: a music empire that would go on to define an entire generation. He scouted out teenagers with big voices and even bigger dreams, and turned completely ordinary kids into global, chart-topping superstars. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. He built both of them from absolutely nothing, with his own two hands and a lot of ambition. And every single parent who trusted him with their kid's entire future shook his hand and believed in him completely. But buried deep in the fine print of every single contract was something almost nobody in the room ever caught. Pearlman had quietly made himself a secret sixth member of both Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, in writing, on paper, which legally meant he was entitled to an equal cut of every dollar the bands earned, without singing a single note. The bands signed anyway, without argument. They were just teenagers. They trusted the man who had discovered them and believed in them. Some of them didn't even fully understand what they had just quietly agreed to sign away for years to come. By the late 90s, both Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were selling tens of millions of albums all across the entire world. The band members were absolutely thrilled. After years of grinding work, they were finally about to see real money for it. At an expensive, candlelit dinner in Beverly Hills, Pearlman slid a sealed envelope quietly across the table toward them. Champagne kept flowing all night. Everyone at that table was laughing, relaxed, completely unaware of what was actually coming. Every single person sitting at that table genuinely believed they were only minutes away from becoming millionaires. Inside the envelope was a check for just a tiny fraction of what any of them had honestly expected to see. One band member picked it up and flipped it over, certain there simply had to be more written somewhere on the back. There wasn't. That was it. That was the entire number, and there was nothing else to find. A band that had sold 10 million records worldwide had, this whole time, been living on just $35 a day. While the bands toured the entire world night after night, Pearlman was quietly running something else out of Orlando, Florida. A company called Trans Continental, complete with a large, gold-framed portrait of himself proudly hanging in the lobby. It looked completely legitimate from every angle. Framed certificates lined the walls, big, confident promises set printed on official-looking paper. He personally shook hands with investor after investor, making every single one of them feel important, valued, and completely secure. Every handshake came with a glossy brochure, a warm and reassuring smile, and a confident promise of guaranteed returns. He convinced retirees, employees, and friends of friends to hand over their hard-earned life savings, one trusting person at a time. One woman handed over her entire retirement fund without hesitation, simply because she trusted Lou Pearlman completely and totally. Check after check after check flowed steadily into Pearlman's company, with almost nobody along the way ever stopping to ask questions. And Pearlman stood there over all of it, arms crossed, completely satisfied with just how easy the entire thing had become. Behind the scenes, hidden from everyone's view, the vault of stolen money kept quietly, steadily filling up week after week. One of his very biggest promises to investors? An entire working airline, fully ready to fly passengers around the world. Investors flipped eagerly through glossy brochures, nodding along the whole time, absolutely certain that all of it was completely real. But there were no planes. Not a single one anywhere, on any runway, at any airport. Just one empty, dusty hangar, sitting underneath a sign that promised flights which would never, ever actually exist. Here's exactly how the entire scheme actually worked, laid out in the simplest possible terms. New investors' money never actually built anything real at all. It simply, quietly paid off the older investors instead. For more than 20 straight years, that exact cycle kept spinning, hidden behind the fame of two world-famous boy bands. And the pile of stolen money sitting behind it all kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger still. But here's the twist that almost nobody ever saw coming. It wasn't the investors who pulled the very first thread. It was the bands themselves who did it, without even fully realizing what they were about to set in motion. When Backstreet Boys and NSYNC finally sued Pearlman over their deeply unfair contracts, something else quietly started to unravel too. Lawyers digging carefully through those lawsuits started uncovering paperwork that simply didn't add up, no matter how they looked at it. And for the very first time in over 2 decades, Pearlman's empire looked just a little bit less solid than before. In 2006, an accountant named Paul Glover sat down to carefully review Trans Continental's entire set of books. Nothing added up. Not the numbers, not the accounts, not a single line of it made any sense at all. He hesitated for a long, uncomfortable moment, then finally reached for the phone and made a difficult call. He walked out into the cold, rainy night, carrying a single folder that had the power to bring the entire empire down. By the very next morning, federal regulators had that exact folder sitting right there on their desk. The investigation that followed quickly revealed the full, ugly truth. Pearlman had been quietly faking bank records for well over a decade. Numbers that had once looked completely real on official paper had, in fact, been entirely made up from the very beginning. Investigators moved in fast, methodically boxing up files and documents from every single corner of the office. And the man who had once loomed so large over that entire room suddenly, visibly looked very, very small. As it all came crashing down around him at once, Lou Pearlman did the only thing left he could think to do. He ran. He slipped quickly through a crowded, unfamiliar airport terminal, glancing nervously back over his shoulder again and again. Under a pair of sunglasses and a straw hat, using a completely fake name, he tried desperately to simply disappear. He scanned the departures board again and again and again, desperately searching for the very next flight out of the country. But underneath the tan and the disguise, nervous sweat was already quietly giving him away to anyone paying attention. Local authorities caught up to him anyway, right there at the immigration counter, before he could slip through. Handcuffs. No more running, no more hiding, no more clever excuses left to give anyone. He was flown straight back to the United States in custody, finally forced to face what he had done for so long. The courthouse steps stretching out in front of him suddenly looked a whole lot bigger than the man climbing them. By the very next morning, it was front-page news everywhere across the country. The music mogul had finally been arrested. Inside the courtroom, the judge did not hold back for a single second while handing down the verdict. Pearlman sat quietly in the defendant's chair the entire time, his face giving absolutely nothing away to anyone watching. Behind him, sitting in the gallery, were the very people he had stolen from, finally watching him answer for all of it. The sentence finally came down. 25 long years in federal prison. In the end, more than $500 million from the scheme was never recovered by anyone at all. For some investors, that stolen money had represented their entire life's retirement, carefully saved up over decades of hard work. Homes were quietly sold off just to try and cover the enormous financial gap that money had left behind. Entire families packed up and moved on with their lives without the comfortable future they had once so carefully planned. Lou Pearlman spent the remaining years of his life behind bars, exactly where the judge had firmly sent him. Letters slowly piled up, left completely unopened, gathering dust on a shelf inside his small prison cell. In 2016, he finally died there, still serving out the very same sentence he had originally been given. The visiting room sat completely empty that entire day, with no one at all coming to see him. Just one more ordinary day, one more line quietly crossed off a long, unbroken prison calendar. When it finally came time for someone to claim his body, a member of his own family had to say yes. The phone rang again, just exactly like it had once rung before, years earlier. No one answered. Not this time either. His own first cousin, the famous singer Art Garfunkel, flatly refused to come and claim him. The man who had once built two of the biggest bands the entire world had ever seen, died completely and utterly alone.